In this video, we will look at strategies for engaging with schools and how to tailor your programme for their educational needs.
Well, just a new subject rolled out for junior cycle. It's wood technology, and it used to be materials technology wood, and with the new specification there's this wood science strand, and it's just as part of that they have to do a classroom-based assessment on an aspect of wood science. Okay. So instead of us talk and chalk, in the classroom, it's we decided we need to get them out and experience it in real life.
You're going to have to become a certain salesman, so you just can't go in and say, would you like to come out to me forest? Because that's not going to sell it. You have to sell the positives. You have to tell them what you have. So if you're going to tell somebody what you have, you really have to know what you have. So I would suggest, if you really want somebody to sell this, if you want to sell this, you have to go and see exactly what you have in your forest. So be it that you get your local forestry advisor to come out and walk the site with you, ask him, could he give you some advice apart from the timber, what you have going on in your forest, be it biodiversity, be it wildlife, be it even, look, we spoke today about carbon capture, we spoke about photosynthesis. These are the things, what's going on in this forest that can be of interest to students.
It's a very strong community education ethos around us, with a lot of new ETB schools and a lot of fast-growing towns. So I find the teachers are looking for something new to do, something different to do, and that they're very in tune with the needs to take education out of the classroom and more into world experiences.
We're trying to connect the schools with local forest owners in the hope that, first of all, it'll create a positive thing for woodlands in Ireland, and number two, that maybe perhaps when some of them are building, sourcing, using timber, that they may perhaps look at using locally sourced timber, locally grown timber, rather than imported timber. So then we're talking into the circular economy.
Schools are always looking for tours. We want to bring the kids into a place where, to real life examples of what we're learning in theory. And the more than we have, I for years wanted to do this. What we're going today is actually a managed forest where our timber actually comes from.
I would recommend doing it the Irish way. And as far as I can see, the Irish way is you find somebody that knows somebody in a school that knows somebody. And we all know school teachers. They're a route to market, I'm afraid. You can email them. Generally what happens is you find out who that person is. You somehow get to speak to them. And then you introduce yourself, tell them your project, and then you email them information about your project. This is a facility for them, because then that makes their job sort of a lot easier to educate students in that little module of what they're doing. So sometimes it's actually a gift to them, do you know what I mean? And plus they can hop the kids in a bus and bring them to the local forest. Within this project, we're going to have a video which will show how we came from the ground up on this project. So in this video, it shows what the problems that we encountered and how we overcame them. And also, we have a link then to all the stuff that you'd need. So you'd have signage for all your different trees, generic signage for information purposes. You'll have instructions on how to build even a bridge, and believe it or not, a cutting list with the list of screws, bolts you need. So we really are working to try and make this that any forest owner can do this. So we'll have all these links and help. And the other thing too is, if somebody is really interested in doing this, contact the local forest owner group. They then will link them to somebody in our group, and we're a very open group. We'll have tours going and stuff like that. And we'll also hope to contact schools on a national basis to make them aware of this project. And then that'll be another route to market, as I should say, for the forest owners, The one thing to make sure is for everybody's privacy, that there is a consent form somewhere. Now, if the teacher sometime will say, they all signed off on that. We also will have available a downloaded consent form that you give to the teacher, and you physically say, here's the consent forms, can you make sure that there is some form of a consent signed? We were very lucky because we had the link to that teacher. Now, believe it or not, my son knows his teacher, and I told him a little bit about our project. And he said, oh, God, that's great. God, that may work for me. So you can see a lot of this is not actually hard sell. If this doesn't work for the woodwork teacher, it'll work for the geography teacher, because there's environmental aspects of all this, you know. And this is something that I think that young people today are far more environmentally aware than we were, than I was anyway. And trees are very much a part of the environment for us. Yeah, well, listen, we live in Ireland, so unless we put a big cover over the forest, somebody may someday is going to get wet or cold. But also timing, when you look at time and you say, well, right, you've exams, you've holidays, you know, and as you say, you have weather. You also have forestry operations. So once every 5 years, you're going to, at minimum of 5 years, you're going to carry out forestry operation. So the timing of this can be critical. So if you're expecting to have schools out this autumn, well, then really you should be contacting them this spring before the holidays, so then the teacher has the summer to digest your information, but also he can plan for his autumn schedule. So once the autumn schedule comes in, then you have already got the schools lined up. That also gives you possibly the summer period then to either update your existing paths, your infrastructure, or create new ones. And the other thing too is, let's be honest, if it's -2 or -6 in a forest, we're not going to bring children out. So there has to be a degree of flexibility.
Well, first of all, we're weather dependent. So I wanted to have an all-weather tour. So I have a hay barn here, and I had seats in it, I had everything organised. I had signs to put up in the forest, but I decided maybe I'll put them in the hay barn, some in the forest, some in the hay barn, because if it rained, we'd have to go into the hay barn. So I was set for that. But so lucky today, it's been a fine day. Now I had the hay barn all organised, so when the tours arrived, I went in there and changed the boots and that, and had a drink, and down to the forest.
You could do a practice run with anybody, actually, believe it or not, because if you think about it, you know, if you say, well, I have a forest, I actually did a practice run, so I did with members of the team, should I say. And we walked around. I was walking around with my daughter and her 2 children and my friends, you know. So you get this feeling. And the other thing too is perhaps invite people who are friends of your friends, so that they'll maybe, if they think something isn't right, that they'll say it to you. Because the one thing you don't want is your family and everybody saying, no, that's a great idea, that's a great idea. And then it's not a great idea. Thank you for watching. And for further information on this exciting project, please contact the North East Forestry Group.